I always liked old houses. They had a certain charm and history that appealed to me. That's why I was thrilled when I found a cheap rental in a quaint neighborhood, a stone's throw away from my new job. The house was a Victorian-style mansion with a large porch, a pointed roof, and a stained glass window. It looked like something out of a fairy tale. I moved in on a sunny Saturday with the help of my friend Jake. He helped me unload my boxes and furniture, and we had a pizza break on the couch. "So, what do you think of the place?" he asked me, taking a bite. "I love it. It's perfect for me. It has so much character and space. And the rent is a steal," I said, smiling. "Yeah, it is. But don't you think it's a bit creepy?" he said, looking around. "Creepy? How so?" I asked. "Well, I don't know. It's just old and dark and dusty. And did you notice the weird paintings on the walls? They look like they're staring at you," he said, pointing at a portrait of a stern-looking woman in a black dress. "Oh, come on. That's just the style of the time. They're not creepy. They're artistic. And they add to the atmosphere," I said, dismissing his concerns. Okay. Suit yourself. But I wouldn't want to spend the night here alone, especially not in the basement." "Did you see the basement?" he said, shivering. "No, I haven't. Why? What's in the basement?" I asked, curious. "I don't know. I just peeked through the door. It was dark and damp and smelled like mold. And there was a strange noise coming from down there. Like a low growl," he said, lowering his voice. "A growl? Are you kidding me? Maybe it was a rat, or a pipe, or your imagination. There's nothing to be afraid of, Jake. It's just an old house. It has its quirks, that's all," I said, laughing. Fine. Believe what you want. But I'm telling you, there's something off about this place, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was haunted," he said, half joking. "Haunted? By what? Ghosts? Vampires? Werewolves? Come on, Jake, you're being ridiculous. There's no such thing as hauntings. It's all superstition and nonsense. This house is perfectly normal. And I'm perfectly happy here," I said, confident. All right. I'll drop it. But don't say I didn't warn you. And if you ever need a place to crash, you know where to find me," he said, getting up. "Thanks, Jake, but I'll be fine. Trust me, nothing is going to happen to me here," I said, hugging him. He left shortly after, and I spent the rest of the day unpacking and settling in. I felt a surge of excitement and satisfaction as I arranged my books, clothes, and knickknacks. I felt like I had found my dream home. That night, I went to bed early, feeling tired but happy. I slept in the master bedroom, which had a large bed, a fireplace, and a balcony. I snuggled under the covers and closed my eyes, looking forward to my new life. I woke up in the middle of the night, feeling cold and uneasy. I opened my eyes and saw that the room was pitch black. I reached for the lamp on the nightstand, but it didn't work. I tried the switch on the wall, but nothing happened. I realized that the power was out. I got up and walked to the window, hoping to see some light from the street. But there was none. The whole neighborhood was dark. I looked at the clock on the wall, but it was frozen. I checked my phone, but it was dead. I felt a surge of panic and confusion. What was going on? Was there a blackout? A storm? A disaster? I decided to go downstairs and check the fuse box. Maybe I could fix the problem. I grabbed a flashlight from the closet and headed to the door. I opened it and stepped out. I wish I hadn't. As soon as I stepped out of the bedroom, I felt a wave of terror wash over me. The hallway was dark and silent, but I could sense a presence. A malevolent presence. A presence that hated me. A presence that wanted to hurt me. I shone the flashlight around, but I saw nothing. Only shadows and shapes. But I heard something. A low growl. A growl that came from the basement. The same growl that Jake had heard. I froze, unable to move. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. I felt a lump in my throat. I felt a chill in my spine. I realized that Jake was right. There was something off about this place. There was something in the basement. Something that was not human. something that was not alive, something that was haunting me, and it was coming for me. I never liked the old house on the hill. It always gave me the creeps, especially at night. But when my uncle died and left it to me, I decided to move in. I thought it would be a good opportunity to start fresh, away from the city and the noise. I was wrong. The first night, I heard strange noises coming from the basement. I ignored them, thinking it was just the pipes or the rats. The second night, I saw shadows moving across the walls. I told myself it was just the moonlight or my imagination. The third night, I felt a cold hand grab my ankle as I slept. I screamed and jumped out of bed, but there was no one there. That's when I decided to leave. I packed my bags and ran to the door, but it was locked. I tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. I looked for another way out, but all the windows were boarded up. I was trapped. I heard a laugh behind me. I turned around and saw him, my uncle. But he was different. His skin was pale and rotten. His eyes were red and glowing. His teeth were sharp and stained with blood. He smiled and said, "Welcome to the family, nephew. You're going to love it here." He lunged at me, and I felt his teeth sink into my neck. I tried to fight him off, but he was too strong. He drained the life out of me, and I felt myself fading away. The last thing I heard was his voice, whispering in my ear, "This is your home now, and you can never leave." I ran to the phone, hoping to call for help, but the line was dead. I heard my uncle's footsteps coming closer. He was humming a tune, a lullaby he used to sing to me when I was a child. It sounded twisted and mocking. I grabbed a kitchen knife and hid behind the couch. Maybe I could stab him and escape. Maybe I could survive this nightmare. I waited for him to come into the living room. I held my breath and tightened my grip on the knife. He appeared in the doorway, still smiling. He looked around as if he knew where I was. He walked slowly towards the couch, dragging his feet. He stopped right in front of me. He bent down and whispered, "Peekaboo." He grabbed me by the hair and pulled me out. I screamed and slashed at him with the knife, but it barely made a scratch. He threw me to the floor and pinned me down. He raised his hand and showed me his nails, long and sharp like claws. He said, "Let's play a game, nephew. It's called How Much Can You Bleed?" He dug his nails into my chest, and I felt a surge of pain. I cried out, but no one heard me. He laughed and said, "More, more, more." Anna and Mark had just moved into their new house, a spacious 2-story building in a quiet suburb. They were excited to start a new life together, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. They spent the first day unpacking and arranging their furniture, and by nightfall, they were exhausted. They decided to go to bed early and enjoy their first night in their new home. Anna woke up in the middle of the night, feeling thirsty. She got up and walked to the kitchen, passing by the living room. She noticed that the TV was on, showing static. She thought that Mark must have forgotten to turn it off and reached for the remote. As she pressed the power button, she heard a loud scream coming from the TV. She dropped the remote and backed away, startled. She looked at the screen and saw a distorted face, twisted in agony, staring back at her. She screamed and ran to the bedroom, where Mark was still sleeping. Mark, wake up! There's something wrong with the TV," she shouted, shaking him. What? What are you talking about?" Mark groaned, rubbing his eyes. "Come on, I'll show you," Anna said, pulling him out of the bed. They ran to the living room where the TV was still on, but instead of the face, there was only static. "See? There's nothing there. It's just static." "You must have had a bad dream," Mark said, trying to calm her down. No, I swear. There was a face, a horrible face. It screamed at me. It was so real," Anna insisted, trembling. "Anna, listen to me. There's no face. It's just your imagination. You're stressed out from the move. You need some rest. Come on, let's go back to bed," Mark said, hugging her. He turned off the TV and led her back to the bedroom. He tucked her in and kissed her forehead. "Everything's going to be okay. I love you," he said. "I love you too," Anna said, feeling a bit calmer. They closed their eyes and tried to sleep. A few minutes later, they heard a loud bang from downstairs. They jolted awake and looked at each other. "What was that?" Anna asked, scared. "I don't know. Maybe a burglar. Stay here, I'll go check it out," Mark said, getting out of the bed. He grabbed a baseball bat from the closet and walked to the door. He opened it and stepped out. "Mark, be careful," Anna said, following him. They walked down the stairs, where they saw the front door wide open. They heard another bang from the kitchen. "Who's there?" Mark shouted, holding the bat. They entered the kitchen and saw a horrifying sight. The fridge was open and all the food was scattered on the floor. The stove was on and a pot was boiling over. The sink was overflowing and the water was dripping on the floor. And on the wall, written in blood, was a message. "Welcome to your new home.